Finishes and factions catching action.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Finishes and Factions Does SmackDown. This week we are still on the European tour in Bologna, Italy in the Unipol Arena. We are here again with myself, Rich, and my co-host Adam as always. Adam, welcome in, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done yeet a few times on the last few episodes. I thought I'd change it up a little bit. But yes, Bologna, Italy, and we are. This is like the first time in about 18 years that WWE TV has been in Italy, and the very first SmackDown to be broadcast from Bologna. So, and I mean, all throughout this European tour, we've seen some absolutely insane crowd reactions.
I mean, Brussels was the highlight of it all. Like, Belgium, when Monday Night Raw was there, was absolutely incredible.
And in fairness, the Italians did not disappoint either.
Neither did the Spanish last week, to be fair.
No, they didn't.
Barcelona
and this is what I'm saying.
It was amazing. So yeah, no. And the Italians definitely kept up with it. But you got to give the Italian, they had it a little bit easy to keep up with, because the first person they got to see was the Viper, Randy Orton. Like,
yeah,
isn't that enough to hype you up anyway? I mean, if I was sat there and the first dude that I got to see at a WWE live event was a 14-time world champion, then I'd be pretty freaking hyped as well.
Oh, 100%.
I am just going to throw out there that Randy Orton isn't just a 14-time world champion, because they do give us a breakdown of Randy Orton's career as he comes to the ring. So he's a 10-time WWE champion, a 4-time world heavyweight champion, a 1-time US champion, a 1-time intercontinental champion, a 4-time tag champion. He also won the 2013 Money in the Bank, and he's a 2-time Royal Rumble winner as well, and that was 2009 and 2017. So that's a hell of a list of accolades that man has got right there.
I mean, the guy has always been. He was always going to be a.
He's a third-generation superstar. He was always going to be a future Hall of Famer, purely for the fact that he was born with this business swimming around in his nutsack. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was already there. Pretty sure Randy Orton popped an RKO on his dad as he came out of his mum, to be fair.
There is that possibility. I wouldn't put it past the guy. But, yeah.
And we've said it before, but this guy, since he's come back, he looks fucking incredible. Like, he is jacked. I don't think we've seen a Randy Orton like this in a long time.
I'd go as far as to say I don't think we've ever seen a Randy Orton quite like this. I mean, considering how old he is now, it is a case that he is in probably the best shape of his career to date.
And there's no steroids involved.
No, none at all.
That guy is cleaner than a whistle.
I mean, just coming back to crowd noise, I mean, during Randy Orton's entrance, I'm almost positive they probably had to jack the volume just a little bit, just to keep the music sort of audible.
I think at one point they turned it off because all you could hear was the goddamn crowd singing voices. It was incredible. Honestly, it really was. Not that it lasted long though, because before Randy got to say anything, we got another lot of bloody music hit.
Yes, we did. We got Kevin Owens coming out, and that was met with a very different crowd reaction.
Oh, he got booed harder than Hulk Hogan trying to promote the All-American Ale. Well,
yes,
and Dom Mysterio. He got booed worse than Dom as well.
Yeah, that's true too. However, the crowd reaction aside, this is a Kevin Owens that I would go as far as to say that I don't think we've ever seen before, because Kevin Owens comes out and does the one thing that Kevin Owens never does.
He apologizes.
and admits fault.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably something that Sami Zayn would like to have received rather than Randy Orton. But yeah, Kevin's basically just kind of there to tell him he was wrong for hitting him with the package pile driver, but Cody and Sami deserved what they got, just Randy didn't. This makes me think that Kevin Owens might be a little bit scared of what Randy Orton could do to him. I mean, he is the legend killer. He is.
Let's think about it. He's Randy Orton has already promised that Kevin Owens is getting the. He is invited to the punt party.
Oh yes.
He's getting punted one way or the other, and we've got to remember that Randy Orton at one stage was banned from using the punt kick because it was ending people's careers.
Yes, and I'm not going to lie, when you get a move that is on the banned list that they let appear every so often, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. My favourite one is Jordan Grace with the Muscle Buster. When she pops that Muscle Buster out and you know that she shouldn't be using it and she's probably been told do not use it, but she just there like, I don't give a fuck. So to see Randy Orton trying to line up that punt kick, you just kind of sat on the edge of your seat, especially with Kevin Owens. Like, go on, kick him in the fucking head, you prick.
But considering we normally see Kevin Owens hyper aggressive, just generally coming out like the biggest dick in the locker room, basically.
I mean, we got bitch Owens bitch this week.
Oh, 100%. That guy came out with his
pushed that out as well.
Well, he came out with his tail between his friggin' legs,
which is nice to see. To be fair, I like seeing Kevin Owens with his tail between his legs because it makes him unpredictable. And Kevin Owens, when he's unpredictable, is dangerous.
Well, as it stands, we know that. Everybody knows you don't piss off the Viper.
Oh, yeah,
the Viper is the one person you don't piss off, and Kevin Owens is well and truly within Randy Orton's sights, and Randy Orton tells him as much. I mean, Randy Orton's planning on kicking Kevin Owens' head clean off his shoulders as we have a match announced for WrestleMania, which will see Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens to settle the score.
Now, I'm hoping that this isn't just a standard singles match. And I say this because I'm really hoping there turns it into an element where there is a stipulation where it's either no package pile driver, no punt kick, or where it goes no DQ and these guys go hell for leather. I don't necessarily want it to be in a steel cage or like a specified match type, if you get me. I'd just like there to be either a no DQ element or you can't use a package pile driver or the punt kick.
So I've got a feeling that I sort of know how this. I don't think it's going to be a standard singles match.
No,
but I don't think it's going to be no DQ either. I've got a feeling it's going to be. No, it's not going to be a strap match either. I've got a feeling what we're going to see is a special guest referee match.
Oh.
And I've got a feeling that the ultimate underdog's going to end up being the special guest referee. It's going to be Sami Zayn. It'll be Kevin Owens versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton with Sami Zayn as the special guest referee.
That would be an interesting match. Definitely.
Just think about it. He would still be somewhat unbiased. We know that Sami Zayn has got a bit of a habit of forgiving and forgetting.
Yeah.
He's also got a lot of reason to favour Randy Orton as well. So there's a storyline twist there that could go several different ways in that WrestleMania match.
Definitely. But
so I'm going on record and saying that's the match stipulation I think they'll end up putting in place. I think Sami Zayn will end up coming back, week, maybe 2 weeks before WrestleMania officially kicks off,
Yeah.
and he'll be added as a special guest referee. So I've been known to make predictions before, and I've got a reasonable degree of success. That's my prediction for this match.
Okay. Well, fair enough. We will leave that match there with Adam's prediction, and we will move on to the next segment, which was a recap of last week when Drew McIntyre attacked Damian Priest during his match with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yes, the dead man walking,
Scottish
and
crybaby.
yeah, Scotty, yeah, and this sort of feeds into the very first match of the night, which sees actually a men's tag team match, which sees Drew McIntyre team up with Shinsuke Nakamura and Damian Priest teaming with Jimmy Uso.
On paper, this has the elements to have been a really, really good match. And through a majority of the match, it did follow where the paper would take it. I just think that they could have done maybe a little bit more with it within the time they had. For me, this match got a little bit draggy towards the end.
I sort of thought the match fell completely flat, I will be honest. So match action starts before everybody's even made it into the ring. So I'm going to point out Jimmy Uso didn't get an entrance.
Nope.
That we saw.
No, I was very confused by this because we saw 3 entrances, and then when we got down to, I think, the last man coming in, which was either Drew or Damian Priest. Yeah, it was McIntyre, and Priest ran straight for him. And it was only when the camera angle came round that I saw Jim in the ring, and I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck's Big Jim doing there? Because you know, it's day one.
I think wrong Uso. I think if anybody was going to have no entrance in that match, possibly Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think we really needed to see him come to the ring.
No,
it wasn't. There was no enhancement there. It's a case that it just wasn't worth.
And we're not just dogging on Shinsuke Nakamura because we don't like him. He has one of the longest, most boring entrances in WWE, and they show that over Big Jim. And Jimmy Uso's got a pretty good entry. He's pretty upbeat and hype with it. You know, he brings that little bit extra. So yeah, I'd much rather have had Big Jim's over Shinsuke's. But yeah, WWE decided otherwise, and we all got fucked.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't get an awful lot of notes on this match. I think I got 3 notes altogether.
Well, hit me with what you've got, and I'll try and fill in the gaps.
So I got the match action starts on the ramp as Priest runs to meet Drew on his entrance.
Yep.
I've then got the finish for the match, which was Damian Priest gets the pinfall after a South of Heaven to Nakamura.
Yep.
And then McIntyre delivers a truly brutal. I mean, that beating that Priest got at the end was fucking brutal.
I mean, that Claymore was brutal enough as it was, and if you get to see it, he sold it so well. So I'll fill in a little bit of the gaps here just to help everyone else out. So it started off in the ring when they all finally got in there, and the bell was rung between Drew McIntyre and Jimmy Uso, but then Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest ended up following on from there. There was a little bit of an exchange between the two with a tag coming to put Jay back into the ring, and he ended up on the wrong side of a belly-to-belly suplex from McIntyre, and yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one, because afterwards McIntyre goes back to trash-talking Damian Priest. This probably could have been better served as a singles match at some point, because it was literally a lot of McIntyre and a lot of Priest. We did get to see a few little bits. At one point, Jey Uso was running the ropes and Nakamura grabbed his legs out from underneath him.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I said Jay, didn't I? Yeah, so
You did.
Jimmy was running the ropes, when Nakamura grabbed his legs out from underneath him to drop him on the floor, and then basically after a secret tag that you had to keep an eye on to really see the tag, but Jimmy ends up on the announce table after a rather large kick from Shinsuke Nakamura, which didn't hold him back too much, because once he got back into the ring, he managed to hit a beautiful Samoan drop on McIntyre, which gave himself a bit of time to recover, because McIntyre really was not expecting that Samoan drop, I don't think. A few little bits from Damian Priest here. We got to see an old school onto Nakamura with a crossbody modifier onto it. Nakamura basically countered it with a rather large kick, and then went to set up the Kinshasa, which was recountered by Damian Priest with a clothesline for a count, which we didn't get too far into before the Scottish crybaby himself jumped on to break up the count. Sorry. We got a bit of a super kick special from Jimmy at one point. He drops Drew, goes through the ropes to knock Drew onto the announce table. Nakamura knocks him off the apron, and that in the process allows Damian Priest to hit that South of Heaven on Nakamura for the 3 count. Like we said here, so Damian, after the match, McIntyre attacks Damian Priest, just reminding him that, I said that it was going to be on site, and every time I've seen you on site, I've whooped you. We go back to, we had a bit of an ass kicking, bit of a beatdown, and then the absolute claymore that, I watch a lot of UFC, right? Some of the brutal knockouts you've seen in there, I will remind you of one from The Ultimate Fighter many years ago by a guy called Uriah Hall. The guy that he dropped like a deuce reminded me very much of Damian Priest in this point, because he was full stiff, eyes rolled back, completely like he played the out very, very well. But it sounds better than it was. Try and give you a bit of hype to it, because if you can get through this first match, you will really enjoy SmackDown this week. This was definitely a slow start to SmackDown, and it does progressively, I feel, get a little bit better.
Yeah, it's, as I said before, it really sort of fell flat for me. So hence that, like, a lot of the action that you've mentioned, I remember happening and I remember enjoying those individual spots, but the match itself, considering the players that were in it, was just really underwhelming for me.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. But the one thing that wasn't overwhelming for me during this match, we had a fair amount of decent, good quality promos. We've had the Randy Orton, Kevin Owens one. We move into a backstage segment with Braun Strowman working out, when we get to see LA Knight come in, saying he needs to slap him back into factory settings. Oh, they're busy talking about Jacob Fatu, because Braun Strowman has got a match a little bit later on with Jacob Fatu. So we're just getting a little pre-cap into that, and both of these guys are basically saying that Jacob Fatu needs to get slapped back to factory settings, and that LA Knight will be keeping his eye out for Braun. And Braun says that he's spoken to Nick Aldis, and actually the winner of this match gets a title shot against LA Knight next week in London. So we got a little bit of an intro into where LA Knight is going to be going with his first defense of his United States Championship. He's either going to be seeing Jacob Fatu or the big son of a bitch, Braun Strowman.
Yeah, and I mean, either one of those on their own is an intimidating challenge, to be sure.
Yeah.
You then look up, like the thought of having to go against either one of them, Mr. No Sell himself, or,
Oh,
as you've said, the biggest SOB in WWE. It's a case that, yeah, I'm not sure which one I'd prefer, if I'm completely honest with you.
from a fan's perspective, I'd rather watch him face Braun Strowman. Purely for the fact that, like you said, Mr. I'm not selling nothing really is not going to do much for LA Knight in that match. And
That, and we've seen a lot of Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight over the last couple of weeks.
we have.
It'd be nice to have to have like a change of pace, essentially.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with that. And a change of pace is actually what we get next. This next little bit, we get a recap of last week's. I don't even know how to describe this. Last
Chaos,
week's
mate.
Battle
It's
of the
absolute
Bitches.
chaos.
Yeah, last week's Battle of the Bitches between Tiffy Stratton and Charlotte Flair, with their chaotic brawl, that basically also not only kind of took away a lot of time from what was going off on the rest of the show because it interrupted Miz TV. I mean, that's not a bad thing, do not get me wrong. But yeah, it was carnage. And that moonsault off the Titron from Tiffy Stratton onto Charlotte and the security last week was nuts. And it basically leads into this week that we're going to get a split screen interview / promo between the two of them. Obviously, after last week, neither of these two can be in the same room as each other or even the same arena by the looks of it. But
yeah, so nice bit of homework in for both Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton this week. Still managing to make an appearance on the European tour while sat at home with their feet up, I'm sure.
oh yeah,
But me and Rich talked about this promo segment specifically off podcast, and we sort of came to the same conclusion. I think is that Charlotte Flair dominated this promo. Realistically, she not only did she sort of cut off Tiffy with a question that was directly aimed at Tiffy herself, claiming that the Queen will speak first. It's a case that she then went on just to completely bury Tiffany Stratton as it goes.
yeah. I mean, she does not help herself. There are a lot of wrestling fans that really aren't that interested in her anymore, and she comes in and she's the most disrespectful person she could be to the current women's champion. Which, do not get me wrong, I get it. She's a heel character. It's all she can bloody play. But it's a good job they weren't in the same room, because I think Tiffy would have smacked her square in the mouth, and we'd have had Barcelona Bash 2.0. It would have been Bash and Bologna. Because I think if those two had been in the same room, they'd have been fighting.
I mean, if that's how you want to spend your time bashing Bologna, then you feel free.
I'm not bashing no Bologna. Happily married man, we don't do things like that. But yes, this interview was very much dominated by Charlotte, and like I said, a lot of it was very there's points in the interview where Charlotte's saying that Tiffy doesn't deserve the championship, and she won it via cash-in. She didn't beat anyone for it as such. It wasn't a fresh match. Charlotte sees this as it was a dirty way of getting your hands on a title. Which, I mean, yeah, it could be, but there's a reason the Money in the Bank is there, and that's to give someone a dirty cash-in. Like you say, it's the whole point of the Money in the Bank.
It's not to say that if Charlotte Flair had ever actually won a Money in the Bank match, that she wouldn't be have won one of her title reigns exactly the same way. Just so happens that she's never won one.
Yeah, she's normally the champion that's got to go against the winner.
Yes, and she doesn't have a terribly good track record of retaining against a Money in the Bank championship, Money in the Bank challenge. To be quite honest, but hence such is the way of Money in the Bank. Really, I mean, there's only a few people that have ever failed, and the first one of those was Mr. John Cena because he announced 2 weeks prior what he was going to do.
Right.
Part of the beauty of Money in the Bank is the ability to surprise your opponent, and 9 times out of 10 we see it after an absolutely hellacious match. The champ's out in the middle of the ring anyway, and it's basically a way of being able to take full advantage of the situation. Which, let's face it, I'd fucking do it.
Yes. So
Give me a Money in the Bank.
Charlotte's
Give
lost.
me a Money in the Bank. Give me a Money in the Bank briefcase, and I'll run in the middle of fucking WrestleMania. I don't care who the fuck it is. I'll cash in a Money in the Bank and get a championship reign. I'll fucking advocate it the next week just to make sure I don't get my ass kicked. But yeah.
Yeah, so Charlotte's lost to a Money in the Bank winner on 3 separate occasions in her career. She lost to Carmella in 2018. She lost to Bayley in 2019. And she lost to Nikki Ash, who we know more as Nikki Cross, in July 2021.
Yes, she did. But yeah, this split screen promo was. Tiffany got a few semi-decent retorts in towards the end, but
Yeah,
it wasn't really a very strong showing from the women's world champion against a potential challenger, realistically.
I think the only note I made that Tiffy managed to open her mouth was to say that the fans don't really want her, and Charlotte says when Tiffy's her age, she won't have a job anyway. So, I mean,
yeah,
she can't look any
as
worse.
I said, Charlotte Flair buried Tiffany Stratton in this promo, and I don't know if that was by design or what. But
I'm hoping not. If they're gonna start as they mean to carry on, the only thing I can see from this is Charlotte walking out of WrestleMania with that damn title, which is something no WWE fan wants. Especially not when Tiffy's so over at the moment. Yeah, she's not the greatest women's champion in the world. She's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but she's over, and it means something. You know, the crowd want her, the crowd enjoy watching her, and they react well with her.
Yeah, but I suppose they definitely managed to build some heat within this promo for the match at WrestleMania. It's just that I'm not sure they went about it entirely the right way, but we'll move on.
We'll
move on because match 2 is a men's singles match. In fact, a men's singles match we've already started talking about because it sees the biggest SOB in WWE, Braun Strowman, versus the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. And as we found out earlier on, the winner of this match goes on to face LA Knight for the US title next week in London.
Which we didn't manage to get tickets for because unfortunately I only have 2 kidneys and I need both of them, and I couldn't get enough for just one to buy 2 tickets, because for both of us to sit in the nosebleeds and watch the event through our mobile phone camera at full zoom was a little bit more than I could afford this time. So maybe in October you'll get a Finishes and Factions goes live from WWE.
Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, actually, I actually enjoyed this match, to be fair. It was a very entertaining match to watch. Because these are two wrestlers generally that could quite easily go on week after week just having squash matches, and it's believable.
Purely for the fact they are both massive men. I mean, massive. They're both big blokes anyway, but they've both got big ring presences and big personalities. I mean, we see that at the start where Braun Strowman crosses Jacob Fatu like he had been wearing a DX t-shirt, which I thought was quite funny.
Oh, 100%.
You're telling a guy who put you in hospital with a hip from running hip attacks to suck it. You know it's about to go down.
Yeah. despite having said, despite what I've said about obviously enjoying the match, I didn't get a massive amount of notes in terms of sort of spots during the match. I know that there were two attempts at the Strowman Express, as it's been dubbed. One of them was evaded, which sent Braun Strowman flying over the announce position. And then a little bit later on in the match, he tries it again and just blasts straight through Jacob Fatu.
Oh, mate, he ran through Fatu like Fatu was a fart in the wind. That guy just absolutely annihilated him. It was brilliant to watch. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they could have quite easily gotten away with having Strowman continue running and he wouldn't have lost any pace at all.
No, pretty much. And then there wasn't a lot of time between that happening and us getting a little glimpse of one of Jacob Fatu's friends stood on the turnbuckle. Didn't hear any crowd noise to let us know this was going on. But yeah, Strowman turns round to find Tama Tonga just staring him in the face on the apron.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, fair play. If you got Tama Tonga staring you dead in the eyes, going yeah 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 yeah, I'd be fucking like, what the fuck? And Strowman pretty much just grabbed him and yanked him straight over that top rope, as though Tama Tonga was just a teddy bear of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands, you mentioned that there was no crowd noise for when Tama Tonga made his appearance, and that's not entirely surprising, as Tama Tonga we haven't really seen enough of him to be anywhere close to over. He is just he's a warm body at this point. There's nothing building for him since he lost his tag team partner in Tonga Loa. They don't really seem to know what to do with him beyond the bloodline.
And Tonga Loa is not due back for a little while from his injury, I don't think. So it would be interesting to see how little they use him, because he is literally just there at the moment to be Fatu and Solo's bitch.
Yeah, he's essentially a valet at this point. But yeah, we don't just see Tama Tonga at this point. We also see Solo Sikoa, as both of them end up costing Jacob Fatu the match. As the match ends in a DQ, because both of these pair come out and start attacking Braun Strowman, which, I'll be honest, I can sort of see why they might have done it, but not really sort of understanding what they hope to gain out of it either.
Yeah, so the way they've set this up is a little bit strange. So they've done it. So obviously, Braun Strowman has won this match by DQ, which means he'll be going on to face LA Knight in London next week for the US title. At some point, Jacob Fatu is going to want retribution for what's just happened. Whether he goes, I mean, are we starting to see the end of the Bloodline 2.0, so to speak? Are we going to see Solo and Fatu split up to a point where, or end up to a point where, are we going to see them both facing each other at WrestleMania?
I think that's possibly what we are going to end up with at this stage, just because, yeah, it
There's nothing
I
left
would
for the
struggle to see.
Bloodline to do. Like, Bloodline 2.0, they don't really have a lot left to do. Unless they're going to start trying to put them in something with the Wyatt Six. But if they were going to do that, they'd have done it by now, and we wouldn't have lost superstars like Alexa Bliss out of the programming at the moment. And sort of, because, yeah, we saw her at the Rumble, we've seen her at Elimination Chamber, we haven't actually seen her since, or in between. So I think there seems to be an issue with Alexa at the moment as to what they're going to do with her, which is why we're not seeing her. But if they were going to bring back the Wyatt Six to have something with the Bloodline 2.0, you'd have seen Alexa Bliss by now.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, we're just not. Yeah, I'm just not sure of sort of how they're going to build that, because they could have Jacob Fatu they could take the easy route and just have Jacob Fatu and the Samoans attack Braun Strowman during his match next week, which, yeah, I suppose I could possibly see coming, but it just feels a bit predictable.
Yep.
Or it could end up being how they sort of split all of those up once and for all, and have maybe Fatu and Tamatonga go off in their direction. Solo Sikoa ends up being sort of outcast, maybe trying to make his way back in with Roman Reigns potentially. I don't know, but yeah. We'll move on from that match anyway into another backstage promo is what I've got down here, which sees Kathy Kelly interviewing Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, basically talking about the beef they've got going with Jade Cargill at the minute.
Well, yeah, and that's mainly because we found out now that Naomi was the one that gave Jade Cargill the ass kicking from hell. But Liv and Raquel are still pissed off because Jade's had all this time out injured, knowing who did it to her. You know, she's been on Instagram, she's been on social media, she's been doing all this sort of thing, but hasn't had the time to text Liv or Raquel going, look, I know it wasn't you, I'm sorry. And that's why they're pissed. And I mean, I think I would be too, you know, if I'd been accused of something that I hadn't done, and I'd end up having a few scraps in the process of it. I'd be a little bit annoyed.
Yeah, it's not outside of the ordinary to think that that Jade's been sat at home watching WWE TV for the last few months while she's been off injured, and watching the fact that Liv and Raquel have been getting the blame for it. So I can 100% understand why they're pissed. But yeah, I can sort of very much see Liv and Raquel's side to it, which I didn't actually think I'd ever be able to say with a straight face.
Yeah, no, I'll I completely get you there.
But yeah, so they're basically Liv during this match, during this little promo, they're hyping up the match between Liv Morgan and Jade Cargill later on in the evening.
Yes, they have.
And Liv basically claiming that she's going to finish the job that Naomi apparently wasn't capable of doing, which is big talk from a little woman.
Yes, but as we know, the smaller they are, the feistier they become. So it's definitely not someone you want to fuck around with, anyway.
No, this is it.
Especially not when the smallest person on the roster has the tallest woman on the roster to help her out.
So we move from there and we get a small VT about the ending of the Strowman Fatu match we will have just watched. And then cut to backstage where Fatu is incensed.
He pissed. And he has every right to be pissed too. They just cost him another title shot.
Yeah, this is a match that reasonably we could have seen Jacob Fatu go on to win his first singles title since being main roster sort of thing. This isn't... It wouldn't be an unusual thing to see at this stage. And yeah, we just start to see more of the cracks forming as basically Fatu tells Solo to keep his nose out.
I mean, you can completely understand that. I mean, Solo got involved in Fatu's business, cost Fatu that title opportunity, and it's not the first time Fatu's taken kicks off him and all sorts. So,
yeah, this is it.
Yeah, it's definitely splitting these guys down, but it needs to be done, I think. And then, yeah, I'm going to be glad if when the Bloodline 2.0 disappears. I will be completely honest with you.
Yeah, this is it. But that was quite a short little promo, realistically. After that, we went into the third match, which was actually a match I've been really excited to see, just because they've teased it for long enough. This was the women's singles match, which sees Piper Niven versus Zelina Vega.
So
Now,
this
if you've
is
listened to the podcast previously, I am a huge advocate for Zelina Vega because I think she is massively underutilized in the WWE. She could have been so much more than what they've used her for up to this stage.
yeah, definitely. And this is the first time we've actually seen her in the ring since her brand transfer from Monday Night Raw. And it's actually the first time we've seen her in the ring while we've been doing finishers and factions as well.
Yeah, very much so. But the choice of opponent, I will say, was interesting to say the least.
It
Only because,
wasn't an opponent I'd have put with Zelina Vega, I'm not going to lie. I mean, the size difference in the two of them is incredible. Zelina Vega is very small, short, and petite. Piper Nevin is very tall, very well built, and not as petite.
no, this is it. And like this match actually makes up Zelina Vega's only a second match in 2025, from what I'm able to find out so far. But yeah, just not a. She's as I said, I think she's been massively sort of underutilized as it goes, and she could have done. She could have had so much more than what she's had.
She could have done. She could have done, and she definitely gave us a reason in this match to expect that as well. I don't have a huge amount of notes for this match, purely because I don't think there was a lot of high spots or a lot of big spots to tell you about. This was pretty much a Piper Nevin ragdolled Zelina Vega around for a while, but Zelina Vega, sorry, did put up a very good fight. At one point, she managed to lock in. I had to ask Adam what this was called because it was slightly weird, but it's a modified octopus hook that she managed to lock in on Piper Nevin, and it only just managed to lock it in because of how wide Piper Nevin is and the length of her arms. And
Yeah,
it
it
was
was a
just
really interesting hold to view as it goes.
really cool move. And there was another one where she went for a roll up, gets a 2 count, and you can tell I've been listening to a lot of Limp Bizkit recently because in my notes it goes that Zelina Vega goes for a roll up and gets the 2 count and a face full of the chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water. So
Yeah, she gets a whole face full of Piper Nevin's ass, which I'm sure is somebody's dream. I just don't think it was Zelina Vega's at the end of the
not
day.
at that point. And then the other big thing that I've got here from Zelina Vega was she managed to hit a satellite DDT on the on Piper Nevin, which is not something I was about to call it the Scottish Shrek for some reason, but I think that's a little bit unfair. Yeah, too much of Drew McIntyre being referred to as the Scottish crybaby just popping up there. But yeah, no, it was definitely a lot of things that I didn't expect to see that I enjoyed seeing. I think they probably could have pushed this in a slightly different direction than what they did. But they've been building Piper Nevin quite strongly recently with the matches she's had with Chelsea Green and being alongside Chelsea Green. That it kind of was only going to end with in the way it went, which was Piper Nevin winning after we had a little bit of interference. Well, I say interference. Chelsea Green was shouting some obscenities at Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega clotheslined her off the apron, and then she goes to hit a 619 on Piper Nevin, and then you get her kicking Alba Fire in the face. So she does eventually end up getting caught by a running crossbody from Piper Nevin for Piper to get the 3 count. But she didn't roll over. She gave a bit of a fight, but it was always going to go in the way of Piper Nevin, which is a member of the Secret Service for Chelsea Green.
I mean, ultimately, Zelina Vega came into this match as possibly one of the most underdogged characters we've seen in a little while. She's only tiny as it is. She was up against an absolute woman mountain that is Piper Niven. And even if they hadn't been massively mismatched as individuals, we also had the Alba Fire and Chelsea Green in Piper Niven's corner, who were not going to let Piper Niven take an L on this match. Realistically, Zelina Vega was never going to win, but her loss did not hurt her in any way in terms of character development. I'm just hoping they don't kill this little bit of a run they've been giving Zelina Vega up to this point. They've transferred her, from Raw over to SmackDown, made quite a big deal of it. She's made a few appearances on SmackDown. This was her first match on SmackDown since her transfer. And
her
yes,
only
it was
other
a lot.
match of the year was when she participated in the Royal Rumble, where she was eliminated by Nia Jax. So, yeah, she's still got a bit of ring rust in there as well, but you wouldn't have seen it from this match.
No, definitely not. And I'm just hoping that we see a lot more of Zelina Vega moving forward because, massively underutilized. Moving on from there, we had a VT promo which sees a Raw recap from the John Cena Cody Rhodes promo from Monday Night Raw just gone, which we covered in an earlier episode. And then we went from there in. Oh, what was that?
I said we've done that multiple times.
Yes, we have. And then we went from there into another backstage promo where Kathy Kelly's interviewing Jade Cargill.
But before we go too much further, one thing we haven't recapped on is: did you know that John Cena had a heel turn at Elimination Chamber?
Do you know? Might have completely passed by. I don't think they've advertised it at all.
No, they haven't mentioned anything about John Cena and Cody Rhodes with that heel turn. But yeah, back to the Liv Morgan Jade Cargill match. This was Jade Cargill's first match since August 9th last year, which was, that is a significant amount of time to be out of the ring. I know a lot of that was with injury, but that's still a huge amount of time.
Yeah, very much so. And before the match started, in that promo with Kathy Kelly, Cargill is vowing to basically, she's going to use Liv Morgan as a doll to show Naomi what is in store for her when Jade Cargill eventually catches up with her. But during this match, Jade Cargill spends a lot of the early part of the match in control, very much sort of dominating the match to the point that Liv and Raquel try to duck out and just say, no, do you know what? Fuck this shit. I don't need it. Tag team champions are out. Only to have Liv dragged back to the ring by a rather pissed off Jade Cargill.
And actually, I'm going to fact check myself there because I wasn't 100% sure, but Jade Cargill was last seen in the ring on August 9th, but it wasn't her last match. Her last match before this one today was actually May 17th last year, where she lost to Nia Jax in the Queen of the Ring tournament at the quarterfinals. So almost a year out of the ring in a wrestling capacity, and you would not have known it by the way she started this match.
No, definitely not. And unfortunately, the control lasted for as long as it took Jade Cargill to drag Liv Morgan back into the ring. And Liv gained and remained in control from that point on.
Pretty much.
Jade does manage to reverse an Oblivion attempt from Liv Morgan at one point, but Liv Morgan also, as she seems to have culturally appropriated a lot of Eddie Guerrero's moveset because of Dom Mysterio relationship with Dominic Mysterio. We do also see a Three Amigos attempt at that as well.
She hits at
but
Three Amigos.
100%.
And she even gets off the little shuffle to go afterwards.
It looks a lot better when she does it than when
Dom
Mysterio does it.
Yes. But
doesn't hold the same appeal to me.
No, Dom doesn't quite have the same figure either, so it doesn't work quite as well.
No, I mean he has that figure, just not himself.
Yeah.
Lucky fucker. Anyway, the big news story out of this match, realistically, was Naomi appearing at ringside with what looks like some new ring gear.
Yeah, it was very much new ring gear, new look. It was. But then we both made this comment off the podcast that it would be very hard for her to come back feeling the glow after she tried to eliminate Jade Cargill's glow. So it's just a little bit hit and miss with that one, I think.
So we're seeing now before our very eyes a repackaging of Naomi, which has happened before.
It'd be interesting to see what entry music they give her when she comes back into the ring. We didn't get any music this time, so she just kind of popped up and appeared. She was a run-in from the crowd.
Yeah, and the distraction from Naomi ends up allowing Liv Morgan to pick up the win as she hits Oblivion on Jade Cargill after Naomi took Jade out with basically blowing her away with a title belt.
Pretty much. And I've got a few bits here from Jade Cargill that, she managed to get quite a nice power slam. She's a slam down power bomb for a 2 count. The kip up after the Three Amigos suplex that she received from Liv Morgan. But yeah, it wasn't a lot of big bits from Jade Cargill. Not enough for what I'd have expected for her first match back. I thought she'd have been raring to pop off some big bits and blow off some steam, so to speak. But yeah, it didn't quite happen.
No, definitely did not. And yeah, just
the only thing that really the Naomi beatdown on Jade Cargill afterwards, throwing her out the ring into the announce table and then kind of bouncing her head first off it, kind of shouting at her that she's gonna kind of keep doing this. I suppose there's definitely some animosity between those two. There's going to be beatdown after beatdown. We then went to a backstage segment with Drew McIntyre, and I believe it was Kathy Kelly, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so Kathy Kelly manages to catch Drew just as he's leaving the arena to basically say, and Drew says about how he's going to continue to beat down Priest again and again and again. And yeah, Drew basically having it in his head that he's not wrong for doing what he's doing.
No, but we're not going to get Drew go the same way as Kevin Owens and think he's, suddenly have an epiphany and go, oh, I'm really sorry I was doing that. The only way Drew's going to learn is when he gets his arse handed to him on a big silver platter.
Yeah, very much so.
And then he complains about that.
Yeah, pretty much. And then to end that little segment off, we have a little standoff as we see Seth Rollins arrive at the arena. And I think I've given up trying to figure out what Seth Rollins looks like week from week. But I think I made a comment to you about him looking like the fashion designer from Zoolander.
Yeah, I pretty much thought he looked like a blue bottle, to be fair, because those glasses made him look like he had bug eyes, like fly eyes. But he looked like a complete muppet again this week. But but we'll just go there that, his wrestling ability and his fashion sense go hand in hand. They're both a little bit tarnished. But
I've never had any doubt about Seth Rollins' ability to do business in the ring.
you asked
worried
Finn
that
Balor about
somebody-
that buckle bomb when he picked up the Universal title.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, his fashion sense is probably worse than his ability in ring. His ability in ring's half decent. He never fails to give us a bad match. Talking about people that don't really fail to give us a bad match, though, Street Profits. We get an in-ring promo from Street Profits, the new tag team champions, after they beat DIY for their titles last week.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing a happier side to the Street Profits as it goes, just because they're
not destroying
they've
everyone. They've got their titles back.
Yeah, they got their gold after, I think they said it was like 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, which is a long time for an active tag team. I know they've had some injury issues, but still, it's a long time to be without gold, especially someone as talented as Street Profits.
And the Bologna crowd definitely feeling like Street Profits deserve their victory, chanting, "You deserve it."
Well, yeah,
but
definitely.
With an Italian accent.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the guy off Allo Allo. I'm not going to lie. No, I'm not doing the impression.
No, that's fine. I wouldn't expect you to. Yeah, it's they were basically sort of congratulating themselves on their win, but even they admitted they'd started to have doubts about their ability to go. Basically,
I think it's only because they'd had so many issues and so many weird losses, but they've got their titles. They can only build from where they are and have hopefully a nice strong title reign. And we'll find out how strong that is going to be because we get to see Legado del Fantasma come out. So we've got Santos Escobar and his little group of cronies decide they're going to come out and basically say that they may have the titles, but they're not going to have them for much longer.
no,
Which
this
seems
is
to be
it.
the thing that every new title holder gets told.
Yeah, very much so. It's a case that, I mean, I can sort of understand how this is all sort of coming about. Santos Escobar seems to think that he can skip the line. We have Pretty Deadly join us out in the ring, out in the arena, but they don't really do a massive amount other than remind Los Garza and Santos Escobar that they're the number one contenders. They get first crack at the tag team champions, and Los Garza don't get a title shot, basically. And we see Santos Escobar actually lose his cool.
Yeah, he's not happy, is he?
No,
He is
definitely
not
not.
happy at all. But
no, he's an unhappy little Mexican.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. He definitely is. But yeah, we end up kind of saying that with Street Profits basically saying they'll give Legado del Fantasma a bit of a match. Los Garza can have a crack at it, and yeah, we then get a little VT. It's not a reveal. It's
a vignette.
It's a vignette. Yes, we got the Rey Fenix vignette. So, well, I'm putting my money on the fact it's a Rey Fenix vignette. It was very, very, very uncannily similar.
Yeah.
But we have seen a few ones recently with the Aleister Black one that's been floating around that we've seen a few times. And there's one more, but I can't remember who it is.
Oh, I can't think of which one it is that you're thinking of either.
Yeah. If it will come to one of us, I'm sure. But well, it leads us into the next match, which was the Street Profits versus Los Garza for a tag match.
Well, this ended up actually being the main event match of the evening, as there isn't another match after this one. And weirdly, because it's the main event match, we joined this match in progress, which sort of pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah.
It really devalued the main event, and I didn't realise that until just now, realistically, having watched it a day or two previous. I would have expected to sort of pick up on that a little bit more, but what we did see of the match, I don't think we missed much, if anything, but what we did see of the match, it is a case that, I mean, we saw that basically the Street Profits have not missed a step since they've been gone.
No. Yes, Los Garza took a pretty early control, but it didn't really last for long, to be fair. I haven't got a lot of notes for this. It wasn't.
No, I haven't. I enjoyed the match that what I saw of the match. I enjoyed, and it's sort of the fan took over rather than the podcaster. Although there is one spot that I know that you've seen as well because we've talked about it already. So both members of Los Garza have got Montez Ford basically in an unwinnable situation, which he still manages to turn around. So
Yes.
they're both perched up on the top turnbuckle, basically about to body drop Montez Ford, who manages to land on his feet so very nonchalant, and you can sit up the camera angle. All you've got is a completely straight face of Montez Ford having landed that perfectly, and both members of Los Garza sat in the background with their jaws well and truly in their laps.
Yeah, they're I think they needed a crane to lift the jaws back up for those two because they really did not know what had happened at that point. Yeah, so a lot of my notes for this are quite early. So I've got at one point Santos Escobar pulls down the ropes, so Angelo Dawkins goes, and I'm saying Angelo Dawkins, I could be wrong, and it could have been Montez Ford. I'm still getting there. Ends up going over the top rope and then receiving a suicide dive from Los Garza as well. I've got here that Los Garza at one point hit something called a Garza special. Now, I'm guessing that is a tag finishing move they use, but I couldn't tell you what it was for the life of me.
Nope.
And
Me neither.
I've also got down here at one point that Montez Ford hits a rather nice superplex for a 2 count, but it's the from the heavens from Montez Ford that he hits for the 3 count to win and retain their tag titles.
Yeah, very much so. But as I said, I enjoyed the match. I just think it devalued a main event that we joined the main event in progress, and we didn't see it from the get go.
Well,
I
we
just
weren't
don't
even
feel
told
like that
it
was...
was the main event either. Like,
No, it was very off the
kind of
cuff. Considering...
feels like they had to cancel a match that was supposed to be the main event, but they didn't want to tell anyone they'd cancelled it.
Yeah, pretty much. But I couldn't tell you what that main event should have been, realistically. But yeah, it just felt a bit haphazard there especially for a main roster show. It's something I would have 100% expected in NXT, but not in SmackDown.
Yeah.
But we go from there into a backstage promo for Pretty Deadly running into DIY. We know that obviously DIY, former tag team champions, were royally taking advantage of Pretty Deadly when they were the champs.
Yep.
And yeah, they're still trying to cash in on whatever social capital that they seem to still think they have. As they're basically coming in and saying, look, you guys have got a match with the Street Profits next week for the title in London. we're more than happy to come in and make sure that you win those titles. All we ask is that we get first run at you when you do. And Pretty
Fair.
Deadly tell them to go fuck themselves.
I mean, also fair.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice to see Pretty Deadly standing up for themselves, because they have basically been DIY's bitches for the last few weeks. So now they've basically just kind of gone, well, actually, no, you've not got anything we need now, so we'll just do what we've got to do to make sure we get what we want, which is the tag team titles that Montez Ford and Angelo Hawkins currently hold.
Yeah, but it's not over for DIY just yet. As Pretty Deadly leave, DIY turn round to be met by in their own words, by the people at the back of the queue,
Alex
Motor City
Shelley,
Machine Guns,
Chris Sabin, yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns are
and
they're looking for a fight
they're
with
looking
DIY.
they're looking to collect on an ass kicking, basically.
Yeah, DIY don't have the titles anymore, so they are open season for all the guys that they tried to screw on their way to the top, and all the ones they screwed when they were at the top. So yeah, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, they've got some receipts coming their way for some transactions they've already made.
Yeah, 100%. So we go into from here, go into an in-ring promo. This is the very last piece of this episode for it, where we see the true tribal chief, Roman Reigns, come out with the wise man Paul Heyman. And yeah, I mean, considering considering Roman Reigns is part time compared to a lot of the others, the pop that he gets is insane.
Yeah, but he's one of those that when we were getting him forced down our throats all the time, we were, he was there week in, week out. Everyone booed the living hell out of him. They've worked out it wasn't working. They were overfeeding him to us. We now get him a lot less, but when we do get him, we appreciate the fact that we've got our tribal chief back.
Yeah, somehow I think the leukemia has probably got something to do with that as well. So
I mean, yeah, that might have a very good point. No matter how hard he's going to try and be a heel now at any point, like that is going to make him the ultimate face. This isn't the guy who just beat someone for a world title. He beat death to keep living.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, he's coming out basically talking through what happened at the cage match. Basically, is that he came out there to get even with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, who, I mean, yeah, I mean they've both sort of crossed him in one way, shape, or form
Well, yeah,
in the
they
last
have.
couple of months.
Whether it be, whatever happened at Royal Rumble, because there was a big issue at Royal Rumble between those three superstars. You obviously had the issue between Punk and Rollins at Elimination Chamber. We've then had other issues between them. With that cage match was a perfect opportunity for Roman to sneak out and fuck them both, and he did. And I'm not going to lie to you, I quite enjoyed the fact that I'm a massive CM Punk fan, but I enjoyed having Roman come out and continue the next step into that story, because now we've all, we're all being reminded from previous sort of events how epic this storyline has been.
Yeah, so brief recap. Obviously, CM Punk eliminated Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. Seth Rollins basically tried to kill Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble.
Yep.
There was a point in time where we thought he might have actually succeeded, um, but yeah, basically this is what Roman Reigns came out to avenge in in the cage match a week or two previous. And basically Reigns stands in the ring with the biggest Cheshire cat grin on his face, saying, "I'm here if anybody wants to come out, take advantage, come out and
And
confront me,
yeah,
go nuts."
someone did decide that this was the perfect opportunity to do this, and that was the architect himself, Seth freaking Rollins.
Burn it down. Yeah, Rollins answers the call. Comes out, basically says that he goes on a bit of a tirade about CM Punk being dangerous to the industry, and that Roman basically fucked up by not allowing Rollins to finish CM Punk in the cage as he was planning on doing.
I mean, I don't think Punk is as dangerous as Rollins makes him out to be, but Rollins can, in fairness, be equally as dangerous. I'm sure Finn Balor would attest to that fact. But,
Yeah,
you know, they're going to say and do whatever they can to get underneath each other's skin, knowing that they're going to be facing each other in, well, less than 30 days at the grandest stage of them all in Las Vegas at WrestleMania.
yeah, and I mean, Seth Rollins also starts talking to Roman about the sort of their shared history almost, and that maybe it's time to add another chapter to what is already a meaty novel between these two superstars. I mean, they both came up to main roster as part of the Shield, and yeah, Seth Rollins betrayed the Shield for the Authority,
That
and then they've had
absolute iconic chair shot and Dean Ambrose's face, like, what the fuck did you just do?
yeah, pretty much back when Roman Reigns was completely incapable of cutting any kind of promo. Now he's he's at least improved.
He's learned how to do it. I mean, John
Um,
Cena told him a few years ago, you know, it was a promo. If you want to make it big, you got to learn how to do it. Roman went off and learned how to do it. He spoke to
he
Uncle
did.
Rocky.
I mean, if there's anybody you want to learn to cut a promo from, it's
Definitely
final
Uncle
boss
Rocky.
himself.
Right, of course.
But yeah, at this point, it's CM Punk's turn to interrupt, and I actually made a note of the fact that during CM Punk's entrance, Rollins just loses his shit, and fucking throws his own microphone,
Well,
throws his own microphone to the ground.
we had that chronic, we had that classic, sorry, I don't know where chronic came from, one a few weeks ago where Punk was in the ring cutting a promo and Rollins' music hit, and you've just got him kind of going, why couldn't it have been Rhea? So, you know, they both dislike each other as much as they're portraying it. This isn't a, well, this is a story, but this has got some very real emotion behind it. So, yeah, this is going to get heated.
Yeah, I think eventually that the real heat is. I'd like to think it's going to die away because if they're still holding on to these grudges, it's not going to make for a nice working environment for any of them. I
My
mean, it's
production
professional
is
at the moment.
my prediction is Punk wins this at WrestleMania. Though I have a feeling that Roman and Rollins aren't going to be able to aren't going to be able to kind of live it alongside each other to try and turn it into a handicap. They'll start fighting in between themselves, trying to get one over on the other, and Punk will sneak it.
Well, one of the few things that Punk sort of has to point out to both of them is that neither one of them have ever been able to beat him on their own. They've always needed the other one to do so.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that is going to be something we hear a lot going up into the road to WrestleMania.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and Punk has to sort of remind Roman that as much as Roman thinks that Punk screwed him at the Rumble, that the Rumble is every man for himself.
Yeah, I found that line quite good, to be fair, because he's obviously there are allegiances made within the Royal Rumble between sort of tag partners and stuff like that. If they're in at the right time, they will try and help each other out. But yeah, Roman's experienced enough to know that you can't really get screwed in the Rumble. Like everyone's trying to fuck each other, unless he thinks because of not Survivor Series, War Games, sorry, that Punk was a long term ally, where Punk's just more of a short term distraction for Paul Heyman.
As it stands, I think Punk couldn't have been more clear at War Games that yeah, no, I'm here to make up the numbers. I'm here as a favour to Paul Heyman. I couldn't give a fuck about you.
Pretty much.
Um, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much Punk's attitude towards anything is that I'm here for myself and for nobody else.
Unless it's
Uh,
donuts, he is very, very passionate about sharing his love in donuts.
fair enough. Um, and yeah, it's a case that he does bring up about War Games, about the fact that he came in and bailed Roman out, and that Heyman still owes him a favour. And I actually really enjoyed the little bit of mind games that Punk played at this point because I thought it was really clever. Is that he goes a step further and said, after reminding everybody that Heyman still owes a favour to Punk, then goes and says, "Oh, I want to thank the wise man for delivering the tribal chief to me on a silver platter." And you just sort of see it ruminate within
Roman's
Roman
face
Reigns'
there.
mind.
It's just like, wait a minute, are you like, what the fuck are you doing? And then just as he turns around, Punk hits him around the back of the shoulders with the microphone and starts laying him in.
Yeah, this is it. Punk dinks Reigns in there. I put back of the head, but yeah, you might have been right. Just sort of back of the neck, shoulders, that sort of area. And yeah, just chaos completely erupts.
Oh yeah, again, chaos
Yeah,
always
and,
seems to
and
erupt with these guys.
oh, 100%. And we have like WWE officials, security, refs pour out to try and contain them as each person challenges the other two to a match at WrestleMania. So I get the feeling that at some point there's going to be an argument about who challenged who first. And I've
Yeah,
got a feeling Punk wins that somehow. So I'm pretty sure Punk was the first one and Roman Reigns was last. And yeah, that's going to become another bone of contention, I can imagine. But um, yeah, so we've potentially got a triple threat match at WrestleMania at this point.
which is going to be one hell of an event to get onto. I
We're definitely building that WrestleMania card now. It's really looking really rather
it's
meaty this year.
beefing out, and it's not just the number of matches, but it's the quality of match that's written on that. You know, obviously we've got Cena, Cody Rhodes, we've got Gunther against Jey Uso, we've got these three in their match. You've got Charlotte Flair and Tiffy Stratton. You've got Bianca Belair and Io Sky. Um, you know, there's so much floating around at the moment that it's a hell of a card already.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that actually brings me to the end of my notes for SmackDown this week.
Yeah, no, I haven't really got much after this at all. To be fair, I'm pretty much with you. My notes are done.
Yeah, so I think that brings this episode to a close. Thank you to everybody who's listened, and obviously we will be back with Finishes and Factions does Monday Night Raw or that will be coming to us from Glasgow, Scotland.
Yes. Well,
So we look forward to talking through that one as soon as that one comes out. Until then, see you all soon.
see you soon. Peace out.